We're live.
We are live. Guys, that's the first time I've done this without that awkward intro video in the beginning, which, to be honest, is like the worst.
Where they can hear us as well.
Yeah, it's like we're kind of talking in the next room or something, and people are watching it thinking, what the hell is going on with these live streams? But let's just go with the organic starter, which is brilliant. Simon, Birch, how are you boys doing? How's your week been?
Good, thank you. I had we organized a little meetup with the V Friends lot on Saturday, so that was really good.
That was good.
Good to
but I tell you what, you've got a bit of a talent for doing these in-person events. I think if there are some NFT projects out there that are looking, especially if you're in the US and you need a UK coordinator, Burge is your man because he's good at organizing this shit.
Thank you.
Turned up. What was the name of the market? It was rammed.
Seven Dials Market in Covent Garden. And we managed to elbow, a few families out the way. No, we managed to elbow a few people to get a table, which was honestly, it was tough. It was a complete free for all. So it's always one of those moments where, we were standing. We didn't obviously want to put pressure on the people that we were waiting for, but we also needed to show to other people this is our table. No one else is taking this table. And then we take the table. It's not even the end of it then, because then you have to. It was only two of us, and then I think Ben came and it was three of us. We have to hold 8 spots, and it's like, how is this going to happen? I was taking all my clothes off. I was putting my coat one place, my sweatshirt another place, just trying to hold down the location for the squad to arrive. But yeah, it was good. I still
love the way that people look at us strangely when you sit down and the guy opposite, I can't remember his name. He was like, "Are you the gift goat?" And then there's these two girls sat on the table next to us, and they're like, who are these fucking weirdos?
I know. And I was just thinking, if Burge took all his clothes off, that would have really sealed it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A bunch of nerds and one of them is naked.
Yeah.
That might be a little tricky.
Just for the 10 of you that have joined us, please do me a massive favor. Please post the space out. I'm just going to double check across social media if we are live on various platforms.
I see us on X. We're all good on X.
I see Simon's shiny forehead on Substack.
The
Simon,
egg in the middle.
Week. It seems like there's a tint of sunshine on that. That's not UK vitamin D, my friend. That's something else.
No, that is just a pure egghead lit up.
Right, I've got to retweet this stuff out, guys. We need someone in the background doing this for us. We need someone doing the. Ben might be the answer, Burge. Why is it not? Oh, it is showing live.
I also remember in the later bit of the meetup, there was a great conversation, a great debate with Jayden and someone else on the future of NFTs. So that was riveting as well. So.
Oh no! See, no.
This is Jayden after a couple of beers, probably.
This is where these nights go downhill, because what you get is what I don't get is why someone goes to an NFT meetup and then denounce NFTs, saying NFTs are a bunch of bullshit. But look at us. Actually, we've come on this night out and this evening. We all hold these NFTs, and then saying, well, they're not going to come back. And I'm like, okay,
So why are you here?
Yeah.
actually, I got a great tweet later down the line, later in the live, to kind of add to that, because someone who's in a holder of Punk Strategy has done a little bit of technical analysis on the NFT market, and I've got a fun tweet to review with you guys later on.
Okay, great. Sounds good. There was something that was not a bone of contention, but something that we were discussing whether to mention on the call today. Let's just call it a slightly unfortunate event which happened sometime last week. After our call, I'll just lay the kind of the framework here, which is after our call, we decided between us that we wanted a bit of unity and we were going to have everyone have a microphone. Obviously, you notice Simon doesn't have his microphone, but, but he'll explain in a second. So what I did was I thought, okay, I'm going to order Simon a microphone to his house. So I changed my address details on Amazon as what I thought was a temporary change of address. However, as it transpired, it set Simon's address as the default address. And unfortunately, I continued to order things, and those things arrived at his house. And would you like to describe what happened your end?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I was so grateful for the fact that you were sending me a mic. I mean, I haven't got it set up because I've been away working overseas and I've only got back, but I'm definitely going to set it up. But yeah, so I was really excited. I saw the box, opened it. My 15-year-old son was saying, "What was that? What's that, Dad?" And I said, "Oh, I think it's from this chap Jayden. I've been doing some working with Burge, this chap Burge." He said, "Yeah, it's not really relevant, Dad. What is it?" I said, "Yeah, sorry, son. It's my box. It's a box, and I think it's got a mic in." And we looked at it, and I said, "This is fantastic. Isn't this really, really great, Judy? See, that's really generous." And then I said, "Oh my God, look, this other compartment. It's got some other things in. Wow, it's got Kenko coffee. Has he actually sent me Kenko coffee as well?" I mean, this guy is really, really generous. It's not just about this. It's about
go with the coffee mug.
Yes, the coffee mug hasn't arrived.
It's just a big thank you. And thank you for everything. And here's some lovely coffee. And I thought, great. And then my son said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And I pulled out a little extra pouch and I pulled out 3 little bottles. And at first I said, "Wonder why Jayden sent me, like, don't really need shampoo." That's very kind of him. And I was looking at these little things and I thought, and he said, "That's not shampoo, Dad. That's lube." Lube? Why has he sent me lube? What's he trying to tell me? And then I said, "Well, how generous is that, son?" I mean, it's something for every eventuality. One is your professional life with a microphone. One is coffee when you're between whatever. And one is when the night descends. And the only thing I could think of was that is for me. That must be for me. And then when I thanked you profusely for all 3 items, all 3 things, you said, "Oh, mate, that wasn't really meant for you."
I thought it was for you as well. When you told us, I thought he must have sent it as a joke or something. Like there must
hold
be
on.
a meaning why he sent it.
The part of the story, though, the best part of this story is Simon doesn't think to just message me privately. No, he puts it in the fucking group chat. And then decides that we're going to launch a token called Lubestr.
Lubestr. I think it will be a very smooth launch.
God.
And but yeah, but I
like what you did there.
But I really, I was actually have to say I was a bit gutted going to the post office the next day and having to put the Kenko and the lube back in the box and send it back to you. And I felt a bit deflated. But I think what it has inspired is Lubestr as a token strategy. It's the only way we can move forward with this.
I've just had a little look. It's still there. It's still available. Lubestr is available, and for the small price of 0.01 ETH, we can deploy it as a recursive strategy.
That'd be great.
That is the last time. I don't want her to overhear. The last time I order from Alexa, because it's just like. Well, I didn't know the address had changed. I didn't know it changed from default. No good deed goes unpunished, Simon. This is the thing.
I was really pleased with you when you said you wanted it back, because I thought that date, the 3 dates you'd had, things had obviously moved on. And then maybe I thought we might live stream while you're, moving forward with it at some point.
I'm so glad she's not into crypto. And
she's obviously into something else. Far more interesting.
Yeah. Oh God, that is hilarious. You know, when you sent me that message, my heart sunk.
I bet it
like,
did.
Oh God.
I know. I bet you thought,
just,
oh no, oh God, what's he going to think?
I thought you guys must have had a conversation that I wasn't part of, and that this made total sense, and this was planned. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just very open-minded. I would have been very happy to, as I said, to receive it. And
no, I love it, chaps. Nice little intro. For the 35 that are in here, please do me a massive favor. Please re-share the space. Just double checking, guys. Is my microphone working properly?
I'm just having a bit of an
echo. Sounds to me fine.
Okay, cool. Simon, if you just pop yourself on mute there, obviously each time, just because I think there's a bit of a playback on that. Guys, I want to dive into some of the stuff that's happening in the market. Obviously, we had blockchain week last week. I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy called Tom Lee. We'll kind of show you the video in a minute. There's this kind of divide between people who say the cycle's over. You've got some of these bigger sellers who are kind of offloading their tokens, but what you have is the macro backdrop, which is very positive. Well, it appears to be positive because business conditions are kind of picking up. It looks like the oil prices are dropping. All of these indicators that suggest, even interest rates. We got the Fed meeting today, which you mentioned earlier, Simon. Although there's some debate whether that actually has any impact because they're not really looking to lower rates as fast as people kind of suspect. But just in the spirit of the show that we're doing and the fact that we kind of cover the current market sentiment, I mean, what are you guys thinking about what's happening in the market? What are your thoughts around crypto? Are you kind of bullish short term, or how are you feeling kind of longer term? I mean, either of you really.
For me, I mean, I haven't really changed too much from last week, which is still think we're on a little bit of a knife edge. I still think a lot of people are kind of waiting to see what way we go. That said, I've seen a little bit of a few positive signals, actually. I think the fact that we've stabilized a bit is always something positive. And it used to be a lot more doom and gloom on the timeline, and now it's a bit quieter, I would say, in general. People aren't really coming out or they aren't continuously posting like, this is the end, it's all going down. And that this is going to go, or even the other way, that this is going to rocket up. I tend to think when you see a little bit of stabilization, it's a bullish signal. And as you said, with the other kind of signals out there in kind of the macroeconomic situation, seems to be improving. I'm thinking that next year is looking good. So previously, I think when I talked on, let's say, our first stream, I really thought November and December. I thought we could see it in November, but definitely December we'll see things improve. I still think that's possible, but I think it might be pushed back to January. And I think there's a lot of bullish signals in the crypto and NFT world as well. I mean, you think about all the airdrops that are happening. You've got OpenSea is a massive one. That's going to put money, hopefully, into the pockets of a lot of people. MetaMask is another one. Although I'm not so sure, I'm not so clear on how that will work. But MetaMask, is obviously used by a lot of people, and there's tons more airdrops that that are a little bit more niche, some of them, but they're going to hopefully be fuel injectors to the space and to the market and the ecosystem. So I'm positive for Q1 next year.
I won't add a lot more to that, but just I think I'm right in saying that the posting Bitcoin, Ethereum posting higher lows each time at the moment, just a little incrementally. When they drop it's staying a little bit more buoyant. Who knows? But what I do think is that there are some really, I think, individual cryptos or individual NFT collections, regardless of the current climate, make headway here and there. And I I'm generally positive for 2026. And you know what? Having gone through the whole October, November, now December, huge disappointment based on the expectations everyone had, it kind of feels like having gone through that, you know, okay, done that now. Let's reset. We kind of appreciate things can go up and down, but I think the shock of the contrast between expectations and what actually happened when it's usually supposed to be this blow off top has now settled a bit for me personally, emotionally, with it all. Yeah. And I feel a little bit more like, okay, yeah, kind of like, let's just see where it goes. But excited, but regardless, it's still a really exciting times because things are always progressing.
100%.
You know,
I mean, for it not to go up, I was listening to Chris Beniski speaking, and he was saying like the largest macro forces that impact financial markets are business conditions. So obviously when business conditions increase, there's more money in the system to go after these assets. Now, if we're going to go against that and we're going to have a completely opposing view to that, that's the most dominant macro force that's impacted financial markets since the beginning of time. So what we're actually saying is that, okay, these are no longer going to affect asset prices. And I think that just simply can't be true. I think that if we're at a stage where, say, interest rates are coming down, you just think about it from like a first principles thinking thing. You are a mom and pop or whatever, and you have a mortgage, or like us, or you have mortgage payments and debts you have to pay off. Now all of a sudden your mortgage is a couple of $100 lower, a couple of £100 lower. All of a sudden your personal loan that you can now refinance at a lower rate, that has an impact on business conditions. Then all of a sudden prices of things start coming down. Things become more affordable. You're going out more. You're spending more. Just by first principles thinking, if more of this stuff is happening and more people have money in their pockets, it's likely that they're going to find their way into these assets. Now, whether it's crypto, we don't know. Whether it's NFTs, we don't know. But my bet would be, people did it in 2021 and they will likely do it again. And it's just we haven't really had that euphoric end of cycle feeling. When people are spending $400 on Ethereum gas, or they're buying JPEGs because they heard something on the timeline that it was like Beeple's cousin who drew it, or some like random thing, or buying CryptoPunks that are facing a different way, or doing it but they're going for like 20 grand or something. There's not that euphoria, and there's not that euphoria because people don't have money. And I think in the very short term they will. And I don't know, did you guys see that Tom Lee viral video that was kind of doing the rounds? He's a top kind of Wall Street analyst. They do call him Tommy too early because he does. Yeah. He kind of predicts these things quite early. They end up happening and playing out. I think last cycle he was saying about Ethereum going to like $12,000. However, this time he's very certain of it, and the video's gone viral and it's resonates with a lot of people. And we'll obviously play it in a second. And I guess the significance is that a huge function of NFTs is the ETH ecosystem. And I think what people don't realize with NFTs is for your JPEGs to go up, ETH needs to go up. People need to be in profit in ETH terms to feel good about rotating into the next thing. And the next obvious thing is NFTs. And I just think that's when the next rotation is going to happen. But I'm going to flick to this video. It's a real interesting one because he does come up with some outlandish predictions. But I'll just get this up here a second. Bear with me 2 seconds. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hold on.
Yes, yeah, we can.
You can, right.
And maybe more importantly, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio we think is also going to have a breakout. Now, this might actually be more important because Bitcoin and Ethereum are really the two most important crypto L1s or blockchains out there. But if 2025 is about tokenization, that means Ethereum's utility value should be rising. Therefore, you should watch this ratio. Okay, well, what does that mean for Ethereum's price? Well, I think Bitcoin's going to get to 250,000 within a few months. And if Ethereum price ratio to Bitcoin gets back to its 8-year average, that's $12,000 for Ethereum. I mean, that's a huge move. If it gets to the 2021 highs, that's $22,000 for Ethereum. But I think Ethereum is going to become the future of finance, the payment rails of the future. And if it gets to 0.25 relative to Bitcoin, that's 62,000. So I think Ethereum at 3,000, of course, is grossly undervalued. Okay. And
so it's really interesting. I mean, his kind of take on that. I mean, what do you guys think personally around the Ethereum stuff? He's come up with these outlandish predictions before. He's been right, and I know the whole broken clock thing, but he's been right a few times before around Ethereum. In the short term, I mean, I can see that happening. But I mean, what do you think, Burge? What are your thoughts around it?
I mean, so first of all, you got to understand that. I mean, Bitmine is kind of what people call the ETH. It's the micro strategy of ETH, right? Yeah. So he's got a vested interest in ETH going up. Now, what I would say is, I mean, I think they do feel like quite outlandish predictions. I can't foresee, even in my bull case, even if, you know, I was like right and things started to improve in Q1 and then even into even into, you know, February and March as well. So the later bits of Q1. I still don't see Bitcoin at 250K. I think that's crazy, to be honest. Bitcoin at 250K, maybe next year in December, maybe. I still think that's quite outlandish to say. And I think the real interesting conversation, which I do kind of agree with him on, is the Ethereum, like the ratio to Bitcoin. I do kind of feel Ethereum has lagged in a lot of ways behind Bitcoin, and that ratio has got worse and worse and worse. And I don't really think it makes tons of sense. Now, Bitcoin is always going to be this kind of store of value. It's going to be like digital gold, and that's going to attract a lot of institutional investment. And a lot of people will hold it as kind of like, you know, they'll put their savings into Bitcoin. Ethereum is never going to get that, you know, because Bitcoin is going to hold that, I think, for the end of time. Like, I think Bitcoin is going to be that coin. But Ethereum, he is right in saying a lot of the things in the NFT space, for example, run on Ethereum. Like, Ethereum dominates that market. And they have done a lot of good work. I mean, remember back in 2021 and 2022, there was a lot of FUD around Ethereum. And like, you know, there's other chains now, and there's newer, you know, there's newer chains that you can be on that are more efficient. But Ethereum in a lot of ways has stood the test of time. It's adapted, it's innovated. And, you know, with layer 2s, I think it works. I don't think it's something that is going to be kind of displaced. I think Ethereum is here to stay, and I think it will be the number 2 cryptocurrency. And so I do see those ratios improving and you know, getting higher in terms of the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin. And I think that will positively increase the price. And I think, you know, I think the 250K Bitcoin in the next few months is almost outrageous. I don't agree with that.
He's kind of living up to his name, isn't he? Tommy too early.
Yeah.
Tommy too early, and don't get him anywhere near lube, for God's sake. You'll be even earlier. They'll be even earlier.
Oh God!
Ethereum at 8 to 12K. I even though I believe that's also outlandish and won't happen in the next few months, I believe it's less outlandish. I get why I believe that ratio and Ethereum shooting up, I think, has more likelihood to happen than Bitcoin hitting 250K by the end of March next year.
Yeah. I was just going to add just one thing, Jayden. Sorry. I was just going to say that, I think it is. First of all, it is extraordinary that a human being so confidently has such an outlandish prediction within the next few months. I mean, I find that interesting in itself, that this is a very well-respected, I mean, I know he's likened, as you said, Burge, to the Michael Saylor of Ethereum, isn't he? The great advocator. And I'm always taken by people's just confidence to say these things. And he may be right, but I think he's right, but not within the timescales he's saying. But the other thing is, the one thing it does strike me that he does allude to, and I realized I did see quite a bit of that actually before, was this whole thing about tokenization, the tokenization of everything, and Ethereum being a sort of a base layer for so much of that, and RWAs. And I think, you know, with time, this will come true, but that tokenization is, for me, I won't bang on about it now because it's going off topic, but I think that is such a massive draw and is going to be the next thing.
It's a big narrative.
Bring people in. It's
not talked about enough, I don't think.
No, I mean, briefly on that, I put a post out just yesterday or today. I think I've had one person engage, which is fantastic. And all I said was, my
do they not know you're a superstar streamer now, Simon?
No, they have no idea. But
you know when you walk down the high street in Stafford or wherever it is you're from in the country.
Yes, a few say look at that egghead. It's that apparently he's getting world-renowned fame. But what I was going to say is that everyone's pointing quite rightly to their sort of their minds towards the sort of sexier part of Web3 and NFTs. You know, the metaverse and art and collaborations with big brands. And I just think, as an aside, actually, the other door people should be opening to engage people and onboard them into the world of NFTs, it's through the really boring, slightly more pragmatic adoption of businesses getting them their members go from traditional membership to tokenized membership. And through tokenization, people start to experience, not here where we are, but back in the real world. They're a gym member, for example, or whatever they might be, and they experience 100%. The value of tokenized, decentralized ownership of their membership. And I think when people wake up to the experience they have where they already are, then that's another great route back in. But it's not so sexy. It's a little bit more just approach the traditional, Web2 businesses and get them interested,
Because there's a lot of financialization attached to the assets. I know that there's some Premier League teams that are doing NFTs as tickets within apps and stuff like that. So there's obviously the utility element, but we've gone through the financialization phase of it. I mean, even I think through that lens, I mean, just listening to you two talk about Ethereum, all I think is it's smaller and less liquid than Bitcoin, and this rotation happens, so it's going to rise by a higher percentage. And then I'm thinking, well, I've got these rising boats on top of Ethereum in my NFTs, and I believe I'm in some of the best risk-adjusted stuff, like the Beeples and the X copies. I know you've got your stuff, Simon. I know you want to have a little box with me about what Yuga assets.
Now you're in now with your mutant.
I am.
Yes.
But did you see my video that I posted that's now gone viral on basically every single platform?
Was it ones where you were going like that?
Pointing. Yeah.
Pointing at things.
Lots of green.
I love that.
You would be surprised the amount of abuse you get and people who do not understand this. I put up there, and I know it's a bit of a hook. I'm saying I bought this for $4,000. If I'd have said 0.89 Ethereum, people just would have got lost on it. What the hell are you even talking about? So I said $4,000. And the bit where I say that 75% of the supply hasn't moved. Do you know how many people have messaged me to say that's because you can't sell it? That's because those 75% can't sell it.
It's too embarrassing to sell at the moment.
I know it's too embarrassing to sell. The point I was trying to make in the video is the fact that people find the NFTs very hard to sell because of the expressive nature. But I think obviously a huge function of the NFTs is Ethereum, and a huge function of ETH increasing is Bitcoin. So everyone's all eyes on Bitcoin. And then if you're kind of playing 4D chess with it, like we're going to come on to today, the impact on Bitcoin of financial conditions. Then you go, well, who affects financial conditions? Well, it's the Fed, right? What Fed policies impact financial conditions? Well, it's actually interest rates. And it looks like, I think Polymarket, last I checked, are giving 85% odds on interest rates coming down. Do either of you think that that's going to be a positive thing? I mean, they have been reducing rates over the last couple of months. It's kind of been choppy. In fact, it's actually just gone down. So it's like in the lead up to the event.
It felt like it was priced in, and then
there's a relief rally, and then I'm like, this shouldn't be a buy the rumor or sell the news event, because it's already dropped by fucking 30%. It can't drop any more, can it?
No, I mean, I was going to say that maybe less interest rates, but more the liquidity flowing around. You know, what's out there. That I think maybe the interest rates are a little bit overemphasized. Possibly, I don't know, maybe wrong, but they'll have an effect. But you know,
it's only 4%. I mean, the thing that isn't overemphasized is the fact that the whole thing is that the rates need to get down to a level where the US can refinance their debt, and it's actually the refinancing of the debt that makes the assets rise. I don't know if you saw, and I don't want to make this a political thing, but probably 6 months before the election, they did something to prop up the bond market, and they printed 20 billion and they put it into the market. There was some debate around whether that was a bid to get Biden reelected, because they knew that the asset prices were going to increase, and the stock market was doing well. Bitcoin was doing well. Bitcoin had gone from $16,000 up to like 60,000 or something. So everything was kind of doing well. But the same playbook's going to happen when these rates go down, because they can't refinance the national debt when it's 5%. They can't even pay the interest now.
True.
And the interest payments are kind of crowding out the spending. And you know, I think the one thing I'm very thankful for on this crypto journey is the fact that it teaches you other things about the economy, and all of a sudden you're like, this is not just about buying JPEGs. This is like, yeah, it's good. And just back onto your point about Tom Lee, about the predictions, I thought you were spot on there, Simon, because look at us now. We're talking about it because he's made this outlandish prediction on a stage in front of loads of people. He's this bigwig, high-end TradFi analyst, by the way. How many TradFi analysts do you know that are going to stand on stage and go, well, the stock's going to go up by this much? And it's never going to happen. But he does it with crypto because he knows that these videos are going to go viral. It's going to gather mind share. And shows like us are going to start talking about it, which is actually a very clever thing.
I agree. And he does that. I remember 3 years ago, Raoul Pal was saying about, Bitcoin, Ethereum's going to go to 20,000 this cycle, 2021, 22. And it obviously didn't. But what I love about these people, admire about these people, I'd be apologizing profusely to the whole world for saying such outlandish. But a bit
like when I sent you the lube.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. But they just go, well, I did say that. Yeah, conditions were different. Let's move on. And with great confidence. Yeah, I love it. It's just very, very
it's like, well, I think the classic line is, well, no one really knows what's going to happen, do they?
No. I'm now confidently going to tell you what I think next.
But I think, you know, on a personal note, I've been caught in that trap as well. Somewhat ironically, and this will make you laugh, is I wrote a blog about Raoul Pal, and I clicked one of his videos where he said Ethereum to 10,000. And I clicked the video and I wrote a blog on Medium about it. I've got 90,000 readers on Medium, so this thing got jet fuel under it. And I put this out, the blog goes viral. And I've clicked what he said. It's going to 10,000. This is what he thinks in this time frame, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it doesn't do that. A load of people comment on the blog, obviously shitting on me. And I'm like, man, I'm just writing this about someone else. This is what someone else has said. Because it's weird how people think like that when they read things. They go, oh, who can I have a go at? Oh, let's have a go at the author. Now, obviously, I've wrote it. That's fine. 2 weeks later, I wanted to crawl under the table because I watch him on a YouTube video and he goes, God, you know when these writers clip these headlines and they make a blog, and he goes, he looks at the screen, deadpan, and he goes, please don't do that. It pisses me off. This is Raoul Pal, and I'm just like, oh God, what have I done? So I've never done that ever again. But it was one blog.
I can understand.
I think it got 250,000 views, so I can understand how it probably got under his skin, and it's something that I'm experiencing now, because what people want to do is, especially with price predictions, is that they want to hang, like, Burge, you'll know this, and Simon, you'll know this in your family life. You might have helped someone get into crypto, and the next question they're asking you is, well, what price do you think it'll get up to? And then what they do is they borrow your conviction. So you're like, well, and you might just be a loose conversation. Like I've got a whole bunch of people into crypto, NFTs, SUI, which is my bet for this cycle. And they ask me, and I'm like, well, this is what I think. And then what they do is they overcommit to it, and they're relying on my conviction. And when the price goes down, they're looking at me as well, as if I control financial markets. I'm like, guys, this is.
I know, I agree, and I reckon what people are doing, because I've done it before, is it's a psychological thing. You want a bit of comfort, don't you? Especially in tough times. And when you see an influencer who you do really admire and really like the way they think, and they say, look, I think it's going to be pretty good over the next few months, you're going, oh, I've got my little fix of comfort. And what I've had to try to do for myself is go, well, why am I actually looking for comfort there? Maybe it's better to get knowledge and also go with your own instinct. You know, you're not stupid. We're not stupid. We're doing this for a while. I mean, I can't. On that note, by the way, people keep saying to me, friends, God, you know a lot about finance. I think I don't know anything about finance. You know what I'm like. But I've just learned it through the sheer weight of watching obsessively stuff. But I'm not an expert. But just one final thing to say on that is knowing why one follows people and what you're really looking for. And I really love it when I just have, when I vaguely think for myself and I'm aware of my emotions, and keeping it all in check, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, Burge, I'll bring you into this, is like, it's actually just be a good student, but don't be a follower.
Yes,
you know, like,
exactly.
Just learn for yourself and rationalize it for yourself and make your own decisions. You know, like, I follow all these guys. Like, part of my learning process was actually writing about, you know, like the best business cycle expert in the world, the best liquidity expert, the best macro expert, the best crypto researchers. And I take bits of what I think and form my own view of things. And regardless of what happens, you can kind of fall on your own sword. You know, like, you're very comfortable going, okay, I'm making this decision for myself. And the conversations I have with people now, especially in my everyday life, is, and I'm straight up, because people are like, right, I need to get into this. There's a bit of friction, especially in the UK, around like the KYC stuff, and they're a bit finicky, like minimum spends that you can do and stuff. And I say to them straight up, like, I have high conviction in this, but you are putting your money into this at your own risk. This is you putting your money in. And if the price goes up, right, that's you. And if the price goes down, that's also you. You know, I had a buddy the other day, a few months ago, when the price was going up, and it feels good to help people get into something and it works. That feels good. But on the downside, they also want someone to blame. So they want someone to thank, and then someone to blame. So this is just the thing, like, just go into Christmas season. I know you're going to be sat around the Christmas table. You know, might be some frosty conversations, especially if you've got your family into like some of these, you know, meme coins, altcoins. They're all getting crushed. Is there anything you wanted to add there, Burge?
Yeah, I just think in general, like, it's good to back your intuition. I think that's actually true in investing, and it's true in life as well. Now, you know, some people out there are going to have absolutely garbage intuition, so I should caveat this to say, look, first you need to do a ton of research. You don't know anything about crypto, you don't know anything about NFTs. You know, backing your intuition when you're flying blind, that's not good. But I just think in general, backing your intuition is kind of like a win-win situation, because even if you end up being wrong and losing, let's say, you know, $1,000, well, you've learned something from that. You know, you've learned your intuition was wrong, and that you need to go back and do a lot more research to figure out why it was wrong. And maybe it was a timing issue. Maybe the thesis was right, but it was a much longer time horizon that you needed. Or maybe you were just completely wrong on, let's say, an NFT project. You thought an NFT project was going to moon, or it was going to do really well, and it didn't. And there's things you can kind of look at afterwards and be like, oh, yeah, I guess, the team wasn't doxed and there wasn't really that track record that I could rely on. Whereas for a successful NFT project, let's take Good Vibes Club, for example, that's launched in a tough market and been successful, you can kind of draw parallels and be like, oh, well, this had that, but this one doesn't have that. So maybe that's where I went wrong. And I just think in general, backing your intuition like that is, I think it's a win-win. I think either you're wrong and hopefully you didn't invest all of your money, because that's obviously, not good. Then you will have lost everything. But you will learn from being wrong. And when you're right, backing your intuition feels amazing. The problem is a lot of people take someone else's take and they back that. And so they it's kind of what you guys talked about. It's borrowed conviction. And so when you're wrong, you feel like an idiot because you never even really truly believed it yourself. That's the problem. You need to get to an understanding where you yourself really believe it.
Yeah. And don't be hoodwinked by people's confidence in something. Listen to what they're actually their knowledge and listen to those things. I have to say one thing, last thing, just on this from my point of view. When you just get triggered, I think you said you were mentioning before we went live, Jayden, that you got into a bit of a debate with someone about NFTs. And when I was away, someone just said, who's a lovely person, lovely colleague, but she just said, oh, in the middle of dinner, I really didn't want to talk about anything to do with crypto. I wasn't even there for crypto. She just said at night, we're all clients and everything. She said, oh, very loudly, Simon's into crypto. And I went, oh God. It just don't. I can't be bothered. And I'm looking around the table and everyone's going, oh God.
It's got such a scammy reputation, hasn't it?
Yeah. So not only am I tired and I'm not interested in talking to her, you're also triggering me, everyone. And I just want to
and the story that you didn't tell is the fact that you got your PowerPoint presentation out with your little overhead projector and going, guys, this is what's happening in financial markets.
Let me nerd you out with lots of people. But the thing is, for me, if I'm going to have to fight to convince you, I'm not really interested. I'd rather speak to people who are open-minded, at least curious.
100%. Goes back to what Gary says: don't convince, have conviction.
Exactly.
If you waste a lot of your time, I think, trying to convince people who they don't even really want to be convinced. They just want, they kind of want to put, they want to take the opposite point of view of whatever reasoning you say.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to poke holes in your conviction, basically.
I think you guys are spot on. I think I said this the other day, is that I've never met someone who's got into NFTs and gone, oh no, this is not for me, or someone who's got into Bitcoin and gone, actually, this isn't for me. Obviously, a big part of the marketing element is the fact that the price goes up, but once you're in it, it kind of belittles everything else you do. From a financial point of view, but also from a community aspect. A lot of us spend huge amounts of time on our laptop. Us three have met through NFTs. I mean, just think about that. We've met through NFTs. We have multiple communities, probably all around NFTs. And then once you start thinking through that lens, it almost gets you thinking, well, why wouldn't this all just take off? And why wouldn't everyone do it? Because most people, I was on the train home on Saturday, Burge, and you just look around the train and everyone's like that on their phone.
I know.
It's like, everyone's in that world, even when they have to, go to a physical destination. And it's kind of like, we'll value these online communities more and more, and nothing organizes communities kind of better than NFTs, in my view.
I agree. And I was on the tube yesterday in London, and I was looking up and down the carriage, and every single person was like that on their phone. I'm doing it myself. I'm looking.
When you said tube, it sounded like lube. I've just got that
I was in a huge bottle of lube and everyone was on their phones, and I was thinking, that's what it shouldn't be used for. It's used for something else, guys. But the thing is, I remember thinking, actually, we're looking at everyone and thinking, God, this is a bit dystopian, really. This is what people predict. We're all going, hello, how do you do? And walking up to people, and it's like, God. But
the next thing will be glasses.
The flip side is, I know, well, exactly. But the flip side is, people are digital, so where does that all lead?
Well, this is it. We just, I remember because I went to school in South Africa, I remember the teacher vividly saying that if you go home and you play video games, you are a loser. That was like the whole thing. You are a loser. If you watch too much TV, you are a loser. And now there's people getting paid hundreds of millions playing games online. Then you've got YouTubers streaming these games. Then you've got like people doing content around the games. And it's like, hold on a second. The thing that people kind of dunk on is because they didn't grow up with it. You know, it's like, you know, like, and again, I don't want to make this a Gary V fan club, but that's what he says. It's like, you know, we kind of dunk on the things that are the new thing, and then they're just becoming a thing. It's like, you know, social media just being for kids or for college kids. I remember there was a thing about internet being a fad. I know there was a thing about mobile phones being just for rich people. There's all of these things around technology that we just kind of go, oh, but this is the thing. This is the thing. I mean, look how early we are. We got 114 people watching this. So we've got to be doing something right. There's got to be something happening right here. Folks, just for the 114 of you, just do me a massive favor. Please share the space. It's how the live streams grow. And we're going to keep doing more content like this at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're a bit late this morning, so I apologize about that. But we just talk about everything from NFTs, punk strategy, Bitcoin, crypto, anything that's kind of happening in the market. One of the things that happened, I think it was last week or over the weekend, Simon, was this Art Basel in Miami. And I remember watching this video. It was kind of like people was doing a show. There's all these robot dogs, and they're effectively like pooping out artwork, which is kind of crazy. And they had basically all of the world leaders, or like all of the tech leaders, like Jeff Bezos' face on a toy dog pooing out art, which is insane. Do you want to tell us a bit about what happened?
Well, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I'd seen these regular animals at some of the events, more private, closed events at Beeple's kind of at his studios, and I was fascinated by them. I thought they're really freaky. It's like a horror film in a way. I remember looking and thinking they're so real. And then when last week it was at Art Basel, and suddenly I think it was a bigger crowd of people, more exposure, people gathering around, taking lots of photographs while they were being taken photographs of them, interestingly, back. Who's watching who's in the zoo, kind of, I thought was fascinating. But what I really liked, again, you know, Beeple is amazing, because what he's done is he's gone another step further. He's tried to, well, he has not tried, combined AI, robotics, NFTs, photography, real world experiences. He's got all this happening at the same time, and it all comes back to the blockchain. It all, because of course the NFTs, I think what happened was, and maybe wrong here, the photographs that were the better photographs.
Let's go back to that. Go back to that last bit.
This is dystopian. This is crazy.
That's Kim Jong-un. That's actually Elon Musk.
That's going to be us soon. That'll be us soon.
Wait, so so can we name all these people? Because I don't know the left, and I don't know the one next to people on the right.
I don't know who that
Andy Warhol, I think, on the left.
And
of course,
gotcha. Elon, Mark Zuckerberg, and then I'm not sure who this older
Picasso.
Oh, Picasso, really? Oh, wow. I wasn't even really thinking in that, because I was thinking Elon Musk, you know, I was thinking those types of figures.
But what's interesting for me is that the photographs that were coming out their backsides, ones I think that were, you know, the more interesting angles, the more interesting views, were then obviously attached to the blockchain or saved in the blockchain, and they were selling for like 11 ETH or something ridiculous.
Wow.
Something I may be wrong, but something like that. But what he was saying is looking through the eyes of AI, looking at the world through the eyes of AI, as will happen more and more. But what he's doing ultimately, for me, is just taking innovation, technology, art to another level and giving it exposure. And it does have exposure for the world of NFTs because he's such a prominent figure. And he really, I just love that. But you know, when an artist does something that you weren't expecting, and that's what the beauty of art is, isn't it? And creators, when they can do something that you hadn't even thought of. And I thought what he did was just amazing.
Mate, I think you're spot on. The thing I love about the time we're going through at the moment, and people might recognize this in hindsight, is obviously the inefficiencies of the marketplaces. Is like you can actually pick up a Beeple piece of, like you said, that sold for 11 ETH. I think that's right, because something on my timeline about one of the NFTs selling for like 30 grand. So that probably matches up. But the beauty of the time we're going through at the moment is that if you're a bit savvy and you know how to use the marketplace and search for some of these collections, because the collections don't aggregate under the artist's work properly. You've got to know what to search for. You can actually pick up a Beeple for $1,000. It's crazy.
Well, exactly.
Like I think it's absolutely crazy time we're living in. And it's kind of like, because there's a lot of missing and incomplete information, it's like I did a post about it the other day about just sticking to Beeple and Xcopy. Like they are the Messi and Ronaldo of the space.
Absolutely.
They are the two. And a lot of their work is within reach for a lot of people. It's not like crazy stuff. You think, Beeple, someone who bought that, and I think he was auctioning off the robot dogs for like $100,000 or something like that.
Amazing.
which is unbelievable. I think for people who want to grind a little bit, actually you can pick up pieces of his work for $1,000. And they will most likely hold significant amounts of value in the future. But it's just about
Andy Warhol of his time, isn't he? Well, yeah. And the other thing is, I suddenly had this thought. When you got the Pudgy Penguins and the Chimpers of this world doing collaborations with Care Bears, Fuglers, and everything, I suddenly had this thought. Can you imagine a company getting in touch with people and saying, "We'd like for Walmart." I'd like to order 100,000 of your regular animals at high-end kind of like toys, which freak the hell out of everyone, but they take photographs everywhere. I don't say it's going to happen, but you can see how that physical element of NFTs and art going into people's houses. So definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting, the two strategies between Xcopy and Beeple. Beeple releases a lot of art, but in content form. So people see a lot of his stuff. He's got a lot of followers on social media. And then on the back end, he actually he has very few pieces of art available. But then the Xcopy he's done the other model of, he's actually not active on social media, but actually he has a lot of art, which is scaled. And then obviously you've got the supply mechanics, and then obviously the less supply, obviously the higher value the art goes for. Birds, looks like you got something to share with us. I don't actually know what
this is just an excerpt out of a newspaper, and it says Beeple tells the art newspaper that each robot canine is continually taking pictures of its surroundings, which appear on the certificates. The images produced are interpreted according to the style of each dog. That one reinterprets the style of Picasso, for example. And then it says some of the robots produce the NFTs, some just produce prints and certificates. The free certificates pooped out, which Beeple is handing out at the fair, state that this artwork has been tested and verified as 100% pure GMO-free organic dog shit, originating from a medium adult dog anus. And he's had that in a newspaper. And, and this tweet, or this post went completely viral on X, and it was just a fun one to share.
Yeah, and his humor, that's the other part of what he does. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He takes what matters seriously, and he supports artists hugely, but he doesn't take himself too seriously, and you've got to have a bit of fun with it,
Yeah. No, great. I totally agree. I think some of the stuff he's doing is amazing. I just want to segue slightly. Obviously, we've had financial conditions been crushed slightly. It looks like we've got some good news on the horizon. Might not be, have no idea. However, very interesting to see that Punk's strategy has held some really good strength. It's actually gone back up. They've purchased, we've purchased another CryptoPunk. So there's 37 CryptoPunks in the protocol. There looks like there's 3 listed in that kind of mid-30s range, which feels really good, because I've got really strong conviction on the fact that CryptoPunk's floor price is going to way exceed that. But it kind of gives you a little bit of hope. Not hope, but it's kind of like gives you something to look forward to. The gamification of it gives you that sell event to look forward to, and it feels a little bit closer than some of those that are relisted in the 50 range. What are your thoughts on what's happening in that ecosystem? Burge, looks like you want to.
Yeah, I've got a few things here to share. So
okay,
let me share screen on this. So Punk strategy in general, I think, has performed, very, very strong. The strategy tokens we've seen pain strategy. Yeah, let me so it's this one here. And essentially it's talking about the fact that because Punk strategy is denominated in ETH, it pumps when ETH pumps. So it's got this kind of relationship with ETH. But obviously, if the NFT market recovers and those punks start getting bought, I mean, it's going to go crazy. Like right now, we're seeing like the punk strategy ebb and flow, right? The up and down. But none of that is. There's no punks being bought and burning punk strategy. I mean, as soon as that happens, it will be like a match in a massive barrel of fireworks. Like it's going to go crazy. It's going to go absolutely crazy. And Simon here with the post, and then there was a post here by Wutana kind of quote tweeting it and saying, the official pool is denominated in ETH. When ETH goes up, Punk strategy goes up. That's what we're seeing. This was also really interesting. This is kind of like slightly segueing to more of like the general NFT market. This is by Ziwu, who's a holder of Punk strategy, and he's kind of commenting on this from a general NFT perspective, but also with Punk strategy in mind. And this is the idea of, the total NFT market cap he's seen since the 2022 or 21-22 highs. He says that we've seen around 4 to 6 month mini cycles. So you can kind of see here he's drawn them out. So you got a down and then you got a little up. Oh wait, sorry. I needed to click the button. Here you go. So okay,
no,
so
you're good. I'm looking at the screen going, what the hell's going on?
21-22 highs. And then you can see he's drawn out these mini cycles, these 4 to 6 month mini cycles. So you got this peak in July 2022 when there was a recovery, and then obviously a downtrend into January 2023, then an uptrend again around just prior to July 2023, then down again. And you can kind of see what he's talking about here. Like it feels like these mini cycles are legit. And what I would say is, taking if we relate this to crypto and Bitcoin especially, what you generally see in Bitcoin, for example, is it was what we talked about in prior streams, was this 4-year cycle, right? What you would see in Bitcoin it wasn't like Bitcoin was flat or in the middle of those 4-year cycles. It was obviously oscillating up and down, but the big peaks usually were 4 years apart. If that was to happen with NFTs, you would say that we're getting to the time when it's due. And Ziwu is basically pointing out here that he believes an uptrend is going to happen again. At least another mini cycle is going to happen in Q1 2026. But I believe that actually that could be a big cycle. I believe that could be, I think we've had enough of these mini cycles now where the big cycle is due. And I think another bull run is on its way, and I think Q1 could be the start of that. I think there's enough alignment there for it to happen. And then I got some more general stuff to talk about later in terms of Punk strategy.
Yeah, nice one. We just had Riz comment. I don't know if you can actually just. In fact, what I might be able to do is actually share it on my screen. Just bear with me 2 seconds. He's just sent me some of the reactions. I don't know if he was at the show himself, but he
to the Beeple Expo.
Yeah, have you got it there on your screen? Can you share it?
I don't, but I mean I have multiple videos of Beeple at these shows. I'm seeing a bunch of reactions.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, some of the screwed up faces are hilarious because people obviously don't understand it, but he's doing that for shock factor. I mean, if you just follow his page, he I think it's saying my browser lost connection. He draws a uncomfortable amount of penises for someone who's a straight man with a few children, and I'm like, okay, this is a bit too much.
Yes.
I mean, he did one with like SBF and Diddy in a cell together. Like, and so some of the stuff he does is so provocative. I don't know why I just mentioned that. I was actually watching the documentary last night, which is a bit of a segue. Wild, by the way.
Actually, I was going to watch that. I was going to watch that.
Yeah, no, I won't give it away, Simon. I don't actually know how they got some of the footage, but it's actually an interesting one. In terms of punk strategy, the thing I like about it, and this is going to some of the other ones, like the Good Vibes Club, like the Chimpster, is that they're not really correlated. I mean, Burge, we were speaking to Tyler last week. One of the things he says is like, actually, it's turning into quite a good diversification tool, because what you've got is something that's not really correlated with crypto. We're having these huge, big liquidation events, and you're seeing these big hockey sticks on a chart just simply because they're selling NFTs or they're market buying their token with the profits from the business. So it kind of takes away that correlation from crypto. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, well, actually, this might just be a nice little diversification tool. Buying some of these strategy tokens, caveated with they've got to market buy their own token. It looks like my screen's not showing for some reason, but I don't know why that is.
You can just see your suave photograph, but I can't see you. What I was going to say is about, with punk strategy, the other thing I'm really taken by is I'll open my wallet, it's one day it's about a few thousand up, and then I'll open it again, it's a few thousand going down. I'm thinking, well, this is really early, isn't it? My God. I mean, the volatility.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have seen that. And like right now, punk strategy sits at 0.05. I mean, it's had a couple like days where it's gone down to 0.04, and then it's gone back up to 0.05 and back down to 0.04, and that's a 20% down and up swing. So you're seeing your wallet, your wallet holdings and your portfolio value swing down 20% and then up 20%. You don't know what's happening. It's interesting.
I keep thinking, well, you might better give me advice. I keep thinking when it goes right up, I go, maybe I should take a little bit of that. Maybe I should take it. And then when I'm just about to do it, it goes straight down again. Like, next time goes back up.
The thing is, because of the 10% tax,
that's what puts me off.
If there wasn't the 10% tax, then people would be doing all sorts of those trades. But because of the 10% tax, I don't even think that way anymore, because yes, when it was at 0.3, maybe briefly, that's when we should have taken some profit.
Yes.
Even with the 10% tax. But after that, these swings now, when they're up and down 20%, doesn't seem like they're really opportunities to take profit.
No,
because 10%
it's not
tax,
worth it.
It's not worth
absolutely.
it.
No, exactly.
You might miss getting back in. It might rally.
Yeah. Did you see? I was reading a thing a while back, and obviously when punk strategy came up on my radar, I wrote a blog about it straight away. But there's actually parallels in poker. The rake in poker, when the house charges a fee.
Yes.
There's actually a correlation between how high the fee is and gameplay. So actually, when the fee is higher, it changes the match play, because what people do is they immediately become more defensive because there's less winners. There's less opportunity to win a larger amount. So it changes the match play. And the same sort of thing is happening with punk strategy and also some of these strategy tokens, because whilst that 10% feeds the machine, and actually I don't have a problem with it, because we saw with NFTs, people were happy to pay 10%. And all this nonsense about, oh no, it's, people won't buy it because of the 10%. No one cares. They do when they want to trade, and you've got professional traders and they're trying to get a bit more margin and stuff like this. But actually, your kind of speculative buyers who just want to see price go up, they don't really think that. I mean, when I look at my thing, I don't think, there's 10% that's got to come off that. I know there is, but it changes the match play. the thing with certainly Punkster is that once you hold it for a period of time, the chances of you holding it for a longer period of time compound. So it's like if you don't sell it for a year or 2 years or 3 years because you think, the 10% trading fee, what ends up happening is this kind of Bitcoin Lindy effect of you actually holding it longer into the future. And there's this fee, but don't forget the fee is the thing that feeds the machine. So it's kind of like it's a benefit, a bug, and a feature. It's kind of like
yes.
Guys, I've got no idea how to get my screen back.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. It's got to be your camera, right?
Yeah. What did I just do? I just went.
Is there a way to select a new camera, or
it just said it. Oh, here we go. You know how I'm not. You know how I'm not the most technical person. So there was a camera with a big cross over it. So that probably means the camera wasn't working.
Only a small possibility.
It might be that. It might be that.
I was going to ask you both because I haven't gone on. I've looked a bit at the TokenWorks website, but then I've been away. How are people generally responding to the look and feel of it, and what's the response with the so many tokens coming out, and what impact is that having? I'm wondering on people or their perception.
I mean, in our group, I think we've kind of come to this consensus of we would have liked them to do a few more NFT collections before they launch something like this, because you know what this has opened up is a lot of recursive strategy tokens, which is great, but it feels like that kind of momentum has been lost with the NFT strategy tokens, which are really the backbone and the foundation. And we wanted to see, I think, more collections, big collections join that kind of ecosystem. And it feels like right now it's kind of stalled a little bit. Now, I think the website is really cool. I think the recursive strategies was a good thing to have as well. I'm just a little bit, a little bit disappointed, I guess, as to the fact that, you know, the website seems to be solely around the recursive strategies. I mean, what NFT strategy tokens have we had come out that weren't ignoring the recursive strategies? I think the only big one was FWOGS, which is obviously a new NFT project. They launched a strategy token, and actually, I don't know if you realize there was actually a problem with the contract, I believe, on that one. They had to fix that, so it wasn't buying up the NFTs with the ETH in the treasury. So they had to.
I mean, the success of these NFT projects, though, were actually the 5,000 active wallets that were trying to arbitrage the launch. So that's what was giving the NFT projects the initial shot in the arm. You know, like you got Good Vibes Club, and you had Painster, and you had Chimps, who all had these huge treasury of tokens in the protocol, which I think was giving them the shot in the arm. I like the recursive tokens because they lower the bar to entry. So it's like, I think it's a very clever kind of lead magnet, because people will navigate to the site probably in the same way that they do to like pump.fun. And if there's a low barrier to entry, it may lead them to getting into some of those other tokens. Like you go to the website and you see a green chart with a hockey stick. That's the best marketing that you're going to see, because you're going to go, oh, let me have a bit of that. You know, it's like, Simon, I think you mentioned we're going to talk about the kind of World of Women meetup.
I was going to ask you about that,
which was very good in London. I really enjoyed it. I love meeting V and a few of the team like Sweet Pea and stuff. But I think one of the things about the Punk strategy is I would never have got into some of these other NFT projects had I not bought Punk strategy. Then all of a sudden, I'm going to the site when there's price fluctuations because I'm seeing how close it is to buying the next CryptoPunk. But then also, while I'm on the site, I can see, oh, okay, Good Vibes Club is second and Chimpers is third. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, let me have a bit of that then, because I want a bit of, you know, the things that are performing. And then I'm asking myself, well, why is it performing? And then obviously, because we've had the opportunity to interview the founders, you realize that there's actually business productivity driving this thing.
Yes.
But it's the almost like, you know, you get those leaflets through the door, the trust a trader leaflets. I think they're called something else in America, but you get basically a back catalogue of all the different traders in the local area, but they're like trusted. And I kind of see that NFT strategy site a bit like that, because you go to the NFT site and these are like your kind of blue chip collections that are performing, and actually the token performing is a signal of how good the NFT project is, but also if the business is creating any productivity, because someone's got to be buying that token.
Yes.
And I think it's really interesting. And I think anyone who kind of separates from that and tries to stand on their own 2 feet with it, I think may have more headwinds than tailwinds, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree. It is a reflection of how a collection, a team are embracing the token and what they're building around it. And I was saying, was it Bird you were sharing, or one of you was talking about what people are now looking to build on top of?
Yes,
these token
I have a great tweet on that. Let me see if I can grab that.
That was quite interesting. That was taking it to another level altogether, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to Drew, he was saying that he should just make it open source. Just zoom on that, please. So that is, am I right in thinking this person actually works on the TokenWorks team?
No, no. So this is they've built this, but they've built it.
This Chris person.
So they do.
This person does, yeah, I think so.
Oh, this person does. They're business development, NFT Paris. They built this suite of.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just zoom in on that, please. I think you can. Yeah, there we go.
They've basically built a suite of products that kind of is compatible with NFT strategy by TokenWorks. And what they've done is added kind of mechanisms where you can, for example, buy shares of any tweet held by the strategy, which gives you the token gated Discord and the utilities that would give you. You can buy a ticket to win one of the NFTs, so like a lottery. And you can even swap one of your NFTs. If you really liked one in the strategy, you could do a swap, which would then end up meaning that the strategy, I think the strategy NFT was sold. And so the flywheel, it's basically he's added ways for, the flywheel, easier ways for the flywheel or mechanisms that promote the flywheel spinning. And basically, I think he's done that just because he's a fan of what they've done with strategy tokens at TokenWorks and wants to see those flywheels in action. And I think what we're seeing right now, because the market is so, up and down, neither here or there, and it's definitely not a bull market, we're seeing some of those flywheels grind to a stop or barely moving. And
sorry, go on. I was just going to say, I like lottery mode. I think I think it's such a good idea, because it just appeals to the gambler and people. So they buy a ticket for say 0.01, and then when they've got enough ETH in the treasury to buy whatever said token is, maybe a CryptoPunk or whatever, it goes into a raffle, and then you've got a chance of winning that. I mean, I would do that.
Yeah,
I would do that.
Fractionalization with delegation. Like, I don't know how they do this, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the idea of kind of like, maybe it's the same thing where when enough people buy shares, but I don't know how do they decide, like, how can they give people the token gated access to the Discord? I don't know how that works, but if that works well, like that's something people would pay for. Maybe you wanted to be inside the Bored Ape community, for example, but you don't have a mutant and you can't join one of these holders chat in one of these blue chip projects, but you can afford to buy a small fraction of an NFT and somehow get the access. That is something that people would buy, and it's something people did buy back in the bull run, and we just don't see it as much because there isn't as much hype now.
Actually, I was going to say as well, doesn't that just show you what Adam and the team at TokenWorks have done? They've created this platform which people can engage with and innovate around. And that's just what it's all about, isn't it? It's kind of not closed. It's opening up the possibilities. And, you know, who knows in about 2 or 3 months where this might be, not so much the price, but where the platform takes people, what the technology allows, where people build products or whole communities out of things you wouldn't even be at the moment contemplating. And that is, and it all comes back to NFTs as well, which is so often, you know, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're spot on. Is there anything else that you guys are looking at in the ecosystem? Anything that kind of that you've sort of stumbled across? I mean, some of the things I noticed, and I've done kind of videos on it, is one, the amazing amount of price action on VFriend Series 2. So there's now nearly 2,000 sales in the last 90 days, which is interesting because that has a collection of 55,000 now. In the early days, people were dunking on Gary when the price was going down. I mean, it minted at 1 ETH. We're at 0.06 at the moment, so let's not go to the races. But there's 2,000 of these things being sold, and I think the beauty of VFriends is that they're not crypto natives. So these are people from Web 2. He's onboarding them. He's taken away the friction, and literally, I mean, I was on a Stan call the other day. Where he's teaching you how to set up the Stan store, which I've got in the link in my bio. You can check it out, blah, blah, blah. But he was asking people on the Stan call to try and buy a VFriend Series 2. And then he's going, and there were 5,000 people on the call. So he's going, guys, if you just put in the chat, how many of you have bought your VFriend Series 2? And he's doing that on these calls. And he's very clever in the way he's doing it. And actually, behind closed doors, he's much more... I won't say shilling it, but more bullish about what he's saying. He's like, this is a bet on my career and stuff. He's saying words like that, which he's not saying on the public timeline, but he's kind of saying it behind closed doors. He's like, guys, if you let me cook for a little bit, I'm going to make this into something special. And I can see the wink, wink, head nod thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm fucking in. Like,
stop doing this, Jayden. You're going to make me get into VFriends again.
Look, Simon, it's none of this is financial advice. It's also not peer pressure if you just do it. So then
no. If I just do it, I feel left out. I feel I need to. I was just building on what you were saying about. We might have talked about it briefly earlier. It's a really interesting time, isn't it? Because whether you got crypto over there, but I'm seeing NFTs being their own. Obviously, they always have been their own little bubble, their own little world. But it's just fantastic to see. And being built in public, which is tough. You have to be really transparent. Some of these teams and their collections, VFriends, you say, doing tangible things, said it before, but chimpers, claynosaurs, they're doing real things that are having effect, and it's physically being done. It's being played out in real time. And I don't know about you, it's kind of really sorting people out a little bit around where you want to back people, and no one knows the truth of what will happen. And also one has to respect that some collections are doing things behind closed doors because they need to. They've got certain, you know, contracts in place, or they can't say certain things.
You're talking about claynosaurs, aren't you?
I'm talking about I'm talking about so many. There are, let's say, take World of Women for example, who I'm a massive fan of, and they are doing some they're doing some fun stuff to engage the audience at the moment, like the collection and the community. But I know they're doing things behind closed doors which they're not able to talk about, and that's one approach, and I have huge respect for that. But I must say, I do really like when I see chimpers, pudgy penguins, VFriends, claynosaurs who are doing stuff in Web 2, and they're doing things that are physical, and they're doing those kinds of things, and it's tangible, and I feel compelled to back those teams more. That's just where I am at with it.
I'm so with you on that, Simon. I think one of the things Tyler Gio said is, we're going through a phase now where a lot of the bodies are coming to the surface. In other words, some of these NFT projects, which, they've tried to last throughout the bull market, they've in a roundabout kind of way, some of them were probably playing the cycle, thinking they were going to get a bit of a tailwind. I know that AJ Vaynerchuk had the Vayner Sports Passes. He's put the sports passes into maintenance mode, which I think is code for we're shutting down the NFT. But I think people are kind of living in hope a little bit on that one. Obviously, that was one project I lost a lot of money on, but that's on me. We kind of take responsibility.
For me as well. I had a black card. I had multiple VSPs, so that was disappointing to see. But I do agree with the sentiment of the bodies are coming to the water. You're seeing who's created a revenue generating business and who hasn't. And most,
and particularly at that time when you were saying it, Jayden, that just when probably some might have been thinking, well, we're going to have a big blow off top October, November, December. So there'll be a bit of a ride up. Well, that hasn't happened because of more other conditions around that. And so those who were anyway and building, including other side, I mean, Yuga and what they're doing with the metaverse and how they're engaging Web 2, those people are kind of showing their true colors, which is fantastic.
It is,
and now it's clearer in my mind. I might be completely stupid and maybe completely wrong here, but it's getting pretty clear for me who I'm wanting to back. And that's the beauty of 4 years or 5 years here, and now seeing at this time what people are really doing.
Do you think people will make the same mistakes as 2021, Simon?
I think probably there will be mistakes. I'll probably make mistakes, but I think my feeling is now those of us who've been in this space for long enough hopefully are learning the emotional response to stuff. I think you said, Jayden, predict your emotions ahead of time, so that when it comes to if you can plan for how you might feel about things. I hope that I'm just going to be more sensible, less emotional, and just look at the evidence in front of me. It's difficult to lose the old habits of diving into stuff. You get FOMO, don't you? You think, oh God, maybe I should have done that. But
I think it's easier with NFTs, because now I understand that if someone comes and says, right, we want to build an IP, firstly, my framework in 2021, there was no context of how long that would take. And then what happens is you see the promises of the future expectations of the brand priced into the token. And then what happens is maybe the business do something that has a utility, and you get sent some merchandise, and then you look at your merchandise and you look at the price of your token and you're like, hold on a second, I've got a free hoodie here and this thing's worth $35,000. This doesn't make sense. So like there's these sorts of things. And I think the meta is going to be established businesses launch NFT projects alongside a strategy token. I think that's going to be the thing, because then what people can look at is they go, okay, you make like the beauty we've got in the UK is that you can see people's company accounts. So you can see if they're making a profit or not. It's not quite the same in the US. But if they are an established business and they've been around for a while, let's just assume that they are making a profit and they're doing well. You could see with Good Vibes Club that their Toast TV did some major collaborations with Facebook, which is pretty cool. I think there are a couple of other bigger ones, which maybe Google or Microsoft or something. Now, a lot of these companies, they won't engage with any company unless they're earning a certain type of revenue, and they'll have some type of due diligence process in place when they engage with these companies, just for reputational. So you can see on the surface of it, actually they're doing something good because they're building out these products. Now, if there are companies like that decide, right, we're going to launch an NFT project, it's my view that those are the types of projects that I want to lean into. But actually,
they're already established, savvy. They're focusing on what's needed to be focused on.
Correct. But also, it's the reputational association. It's the reputational damage to the product. If you have a brand that you're building and you launch an NFT project and you decide halfway through that, no, we're just going to dump this, that's going to impact your brand. So it's going to have an adverse effect on your already, probably a perfect example was Impact Theory, which was Tom Bilyeu's. I think the NFT was called something different. We were talking to someone about it the other night, Burge. I think in the bear market, they got refunded their entire, and I think everyone got refunds. And that I would have actually, like, just to break even, I'd have bit any NFT arm off, bearing in mind I was like 95% down on everything, I'd have taken that. But I think, well, why would he do that? And it's actually just the reputational damage. He wants to go on to do other businesses, and that's always going to follow him around. So it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
just to pay people back their
money.
What
you were saying, Jayden, about existing companies, NFT launches, people who are tried and tested, know what they're talking about, business savvy. I think that's true. I also think there are now Web3 businesses which were collections, which have now become businesses which have proven themselves and are building success. So there's two things: either you are a business and you then who is release an NFT collection, or you've weathered the storm as a Web3 entity and you've turned yourself
more risk,
into,
isn't it?
It's more risk, and but the great upside for them is they've got their native, and they've got a community already. So I think both are very, like, chimpers or whoever it might be, are both valid. And I go back to what we were saying earlier about, it may not just be the sexy side of NFTs. It could just be tokenizing membership as a business, and people going, you mean I can sell my gym membership when I leave the area to another person, and the gym gets a cut of the royalties, and I've accrued value which will be sought after by a new member of the gym. And it could be as simple as that. Those kind of just useful, profitable value adds, which sort of work for people at the individual level.
No, I think you're spot on. Burge, I can see you intently looking at your screen there. Guys, we're obviously coming towards the end. I just want to open up to both of you. My thoughts on the current market dynamics is that we're probably going to have a better Q1. I'm feeling a bit of a Santa rally. I don't think we can dump any more than we have. Ordinarily, people are going to be at home on their phones, potentially getting drunk, trying to explain to their aunts and uncles why crypto's down by 60%, potentially arguing over Monopoly. But where do you guys see, how do you guys see things panning out? And are there any things that you're looking to buy or lean into during this dip? I mean, for me, I think Punk Strategy is still a very, very good price. I think, no, obviously not financial advice, but I think Sui is a very good price. It's been the outperformer of this cycle so far, but obviously when things bleed, it bleeds the most. I mean, are there any individual things that, I've kind of been thinking in the back of my mind about Good Vibes Club NFT looks a good play. The Max Paynes actually look like a good play because you've seen a lot of strength there. Chimpers looks like a good. So there's all these things and all these opportunities out there. I mean, what are you guys looking at? And what do you think is on the horizon?
I mean, first, just on that Max Payne comment. Look at this guy, 8 Nuke, who's in our Punk Strategy group chat on X. He's gone crazy. This is his
he's bought those.
Yeah, this is how many he holds. So that's what, 7 a row. So that's 28 or 29 Max Paynes. And then look at these. He's got some of those
guzzlers,
rarer ones. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Insane stuff.
Is he? But it looks like he's relisted them at 1 ETH.
I think these do look like these are listed. So I mean, I think the way he works is he always has stuff listed.
Right.
In case there's a sell-off or in case the floor price rises and it does sell.
Yeah.
So he's relisted them so that they are like there to sell. But I think he's definitely playing for that kind of X copy to buy up a bunch of these and burn them, which is what he's done before in the collection.
I think that's brilliant. I've asked Santa if he would give me a Good Vibes Club NFT. Another Chimpers, another Clonosaurus.
How many Chimpers have you got now?
Oh, I've only got my 1 Chimpers.
Okay.
I want another Chimpers. And apparently, Jayden and Burge are going to give me a V Friends. No, I'm only joking. As a little gift.
Listen, if we get Gary V on the show, we'll get you a V Friends, mate. Don't worry about that.
For sure.
Can I just say, all those V Friends, Clonos, Chimpers, Good Vibes, and Max Payne, if anyone wants to donate them to me, I'm very happy to look after them. I think I'm very happy. No, but they're the ones I like the idea of.
Yeah.
And one day I will have a V Friends. When I grow up, I'm going to have a V Friends.
Good. I think you know, my personal view on V Friends is it wins the whole thing. V Friends wins the whole thing, and I know, Simon, that's hard for you to digest, but because you
and I know that, and I understand. You know, I understand that. I think they're going to be brilliant, and I do think that Yuga other side.
Yeah. Oh no, don't get me wrong. That's why I got a mutant, mate. That's why I got a mutant.
You have.
What we saying, Birch?
Yeah.
In general, I think I agree. I think we could see a little bit of a rally in December. I still kind of hold that thesis from a month or two ago. I see things getting better into and during Q1 next year. So I think December and January, especially January, is a big month for crypto and NFTs. And you know, maybe not. I should clarify that with, you know, big month as in I'm not expecting it to shoot up, but I'm expecting it to, you know, just gradually start to rise upwards. I mean, we've seen it with some of these blind box sales. I don't know if you guys have seen much about these, but I'm sharing a tweet here, and you've got, I think FWOG did a blind box, but I think there was this caveat that they never told people. Maybe they did. Maybe Simon knows, can clarify here.
I don't
know.
I think
the blind box for the FWOG actually turned into a free mint for the NFT that they then launched. So the blind box became the in for a lot of people to get one of these free NFTs, and they then those free NFTs then went for 0.2 ETH on the market. So that was an ROI positive play. Then you've got Pudgy Penguins doing mystery boxes as well. They raised 700K. And that was the idea there with Pudgy Penguins, was they made you buy an NFT that represented the mystery box, and you could then resell that on the secondary market before it was revealed what was inside it. And then Moonbirds, this was a really surprising one. I mean, how much have you heard of Moonbirds in the last year or two? But they decided to launch into physicals a few months ago, and I think that might have that might have been on your radar when it happened. They raised 1.7 million in 24 hours. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is to tie this back into the kind of the macro and the wider market. I mean, it shows some sort of willingness for people to spend, right? Like people aren't. We tend to think like right now the market is down. People aren't willing to spend. I mean, that Doodles Mint didn't go very well, but here you see, well, people are more than happy to buy blind boxes of a physical product. So it's kind of showing two different sides of the coin and two different sides of the picture, because, you know, on one hand, you got people spending money here on blind boxes, and then on the other hand, you've got Doodles who've tried to come out with a second character collection, and they haven't been able to mint as much as they would have wanted. So it's interesting,
isn't it? And you know, the final thing I would say about it all is I think things do feel more positive in NFT land, definitely for you know, Q1. But what I'm telling myself, and I mean it as well, is to actually just enjoy the space, because you know, you said at the beginning we would never have got together if it hadn't been for NFTs. And I think it goes back to the community, the fun, the innovation, the art, the possibilities. Anyone who's a bit of a nerd who loves the idea of what might be, this space is such a great place to be. And I think it's about not what can you take, but what can you give in a way, and what can you put in. I'm just really looking forward to 2026.
I thought you were going to do a JFK speech there, mate.
Ask not
what your
NFT can do for you, but what you can do for your NFT.
Oh, I love that. I love that. No, mate, I love your insights, Simon. They're brilliant. Guys, we're obviously come to the end of the show for this week. It's been a real good one. I just want to say a massive thank you to the 191 of you that have viewed. Wherever you're listening to this, please give it a like and a share. It's how we grow the live streams. What you might not know is that some of the deeper research happens at carrotlane.com, where you can subscribe, or just tap the link in the description and it will take you straight there. Really appreciate it. Simon, Burge, it's been a real good one. And until next week.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Take care, guys.
Cheers guys. Bye-bye.